You're listening to ADHD Support Talk Radio podcast. ADHD Support Talk is sponsored by ADDclasses.com. Visit www.addclasses.com to sign up for free webinars today. Hello and welcome back to ADHD Support Talk Radio. I'm your co-host, Lynne Edris. As a productivity coach and ADHD coach, I help overwhelmed professionals reduce procrastination, improve time management, and get more done with less effort so that they have more time, more energy, and even more money for what they love most. As a woman with ADHD myself, I have been where so many of my clients are, and I've come out the other side, so to speak. I've gone from living in a constant state of chaos and underperformance and overwhelm to a life full of achievement and success and fulfillment. That's the big piece, right? And I know you can share the same success yourself. You can learn more about me, what I do, and the programs and services I offer at www.coachingaddvantages.com. That's Coaching Advantages with 2 Ds. And when you sign up on my website or text the keyword HACK, H-A-C-K, to 444-999, I'll send you my 7 foolproof productivity hacks to help you add hours of free time to your week by investing just a few smart minutes each day. Today I want to talk about time management and a really important piece of time management. Poor time management is a hallmark characteristic for adults with ADHD, and it impacts just about every aspect of our lives. It can make us perform well below our abilities at work and at home, and it impacts both our personal and our professional relationships, and it creates a lot of stress for us on a daily basis, right? And of course, what it does to how we feel about ourselves can be really horrible. We watch people all around us seem to get stuff done so much more easily, so much more quickly, and so much more efficiently than we do, when we know they're no smarter than we are, and we know they don't work harder than we do. But they make some people make that stuff look just so easy and so natural, don't they? And I get it. I've been there. And actually, I'm still there every day. My husband is one of those super, born organized, super efficient people who makes all that stuff, all that efficiency stuff, all that organizational stuff, all that time management stuff look super easy. He's an engineer and he's super smart, of course, but he was also born with a much more linear, much more logical way of thinking and processing than I was with my ADHD brain. And I've watched him for the more than 30 years we've been married, and I even tried to copy his systems and the way he did things when we were first married. I've always envied his immaculate office and his empty inbox, and I still do to some degree. And I know that he's no smarter than I am. He's super smart, don't get me wrong, but he's smart in different ways, And I know that he doesn't work any harder than I do. He works hard, but he doesn't work any harder than I do. But what I learned a really long time ago is that while his way works beautifully for him, I've needed to create my own systems and my own ways of doing things that work with my style, how my brain works, and my unique ways of doing things. I needed to learn to work with my strengths, and that's what I've done for myself, and that's what I do with my clients. That's the underlying premise of what we do in ADHD coaching. It's a strength-based approach. And that's what you can learn to do too. So the really good news is that time management is something that can be learned. Poor time management is not a character flaw, and it's not some sort of moral weakness. When you understand how to work with your unique strengths and your natural tendencies and your individual processing style, you can be just as effective and just as productive as those people you've probably wondered at your whole life. So first, it's important to understand that time management isn't a single skill or even a single set of skills, but it's a complex and it's like an interwoven set of skills and behaviors. There are lots of different aspects of our lives and different activities that come into play with how well we manage our time, how long it takes to get things done, and how well we estimate and judge the passage of time come into play, as do, how much we can resist distractions and stay on task and stay focused. How we manage our calendars is an important aspect. How we manage our tasks and the things we need to do are yet others. Time management is also impacted by how well we organize information and the stuff in our lives, physically and cognitively or mentally. And all of those aspects of our lives and the underlying skill sets involved can be sort of intertwined with how punctual we are for things and with the things that we do every day. So what it takes for an individual to be good at time management, I always say it can be more like a tangled plate of spaghetti than any self-help book might imply, especially if you're affected by ADHD and ADD. So today, I'm going to start with an important piece, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The secret to perfect calendars for adults with ADHD. So I have been a productivity and ADHD coach for going on, I think it's 12 years now. And I've talked to thousands and thousands of people over the years who've come to me for help with time management issues in one respect or another, or in all respects. And so many of them ask me, what's the best calendar for someone with ADD? And my answer is always the same. My answer is the best calendar for someone with ADD is the one that you use. Specifically, what kind of calendar you use is so much less important than most people realize. It's been my experience over all these years that our focus on finding the right calendar or the perfect calendar to work for us is often a really big part of what's getting in our way. It's true that the behaviors we need to implement in order to use a calendar effectively are way more important than what kind of calendar with which we use those behaviors. So whether it's electronic or paper or week at a glance or a daily view is so much less important than creating the consistent habits of 3 behaviors that are essential to ADHD calendar management. Really, there are 3 behaviors that are essential to anybody managing a calendar, but they're especially important for ADHD-friendly calendar management. And those 3 behaviors are what I call, number 1, what I call the capture piece, number 2, what I call the trust piece, and number 3, what I call the retrieval piece. So the first piece, what I call the capture piece or the input piece, is consistently putting all aspects of your time commitments and your appointments in the calendar. So the capture piece, or what I call the input piece, is consistently putting all your appointments and all your time commitments in the calendar. If you don't put everything in there, if you're trying to keep some things in your mind, it's not going to work for you. The second piece, what I call the trust piece, is simply consistently having your calendar with you and accessible at all times so you can put those things in, right? So you can record those commitments as they arise. If you don't have your calendar with you, if you don't have it available to you when you need it, you're not going to be able to trust it, and it's really not going to help you very much. And then the third one, what I call the retrieval piece, is simply reviewing your calendar on a very frequent basis, at least daily. I prefer much more frequently than that, on a day-to-day basis, so that you can stay in front of those commitments, right? So again, those 3 essential behaviors are the input or capture piece, the trust piece, and the retrieval piece. If any one of these 3 behaviors slips, your calendar management is going to fall apart, period. Regardless of what kind of calendar you're using, regardless of how fancy your calendar is, no matter how pretty it is and how much you like it, it's going to fall apart. So my recommendation for clients is to always start by using what you have. Don't go spend your valuable time, don't go spend your valuable money by trying to find some fantastic calendar up front, right? Grab what you already have, or pick up the most inexpensive calendar you can, or print out a calendar for free online, and focus on the behaviors for several months until they feel really solidly entrenched and until you can really feel the calendar benefiting you. Once the behaviors are solid habits, then spend a little time thinking about your preferences. Would it be nice to be able to set different alarms for appointments, have different reminders? Would a smaller physical calendar be better for you so you can carry it with you more easily? Would you like to be able to share your calendar electronically? Or would you benefit from the act of writing things in a calendar using pen and paper? Do you need hourly slots in your calendar? Do you need small blocks, or would you prefer bigger blocks so you can put more detail in your calendar? You can think about all these things once those 3 behaviors are solid. These are just preferences, and you really can't know what works best for you and what preferences are going to help you the most until you have those really solid behaviors around managing the calendar. And those are habits. Those are things that you can learn to do. And those solid calendar behaviors can be transferred to virtually any kind, any form, any format of calendar. And they will become the lifelong skills that enable you to be the master of your own time, to experience the sense of peace that comes from mastering your time and controlling your time and being in front of your time and really freeing more time up for what matters most to you in your life. I am not a fan of productivity or time management improvement just for the sake of productivity and time management improvement. I think it's essential that we focus on what improving those things gives us in our lives. More time, more energy, and even more money for the things that matter most to us. Relationships, family members, taking care of yourself, doing the things that you need to do to feed your soul, to make you a better person and a happier person, a more joyful and more peaceful person all throughout your life. And that's really what we want. Not some shiny new app or some really pretty calendar that sits on a shelf. That's what we're playing for in the long run. So I hope you found something in here that's helpful. It's such a huge topic. Starting with calendar behaviors can make a really, really big difference in how you can improve your time management overall. It's really one of the cornerstones of effective time management. Again, I'm Coach Lynne Edris. Thanks for listening. I always appreciate your attention. If you have questions on this or comments on this episode or any other episode, I hope you'll join us in the ADHD Support Talk Radio group on Facebook. We have a group on Facebook. You can search for us, and we'd be happy to have you as a member and happy to answer any questions. And we'd love to get your feedback on the episodes, what you find helpful, and your tips and your success stories and your challenges can be great help for other people in the group as well. Thanks again for listening, and as always, I appreciate your attention.